Our next guest is one of the top listing agents in all of San Diego. Please welcome back our good friend, Billy Colestock.
Golf clap for Billy. What's up, buddy?
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
This is the first time we've ever had you to ourselves on the show.
It's exciting.
I mean, you bring great guests, though. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Advocating for the Del Cerro community. Really important work being done there. Lots of cool stuff happening there. Jay last month was awesome.
He was amazing
on the show. That's getting a ton of feedback on social media. Today, since I have you to myself, I want to ask you about the market in from a more of a macro perspective.
Okay.
Because the market is still being driven. I mean, there's still a lot of activity happening.
Ton.
Everyone kept saying, and has kept saying, myself included, that this has got to stop at some point, unless we're going to become the next San Francisco, et cetera. So, what do you think personally is driving the market right now?
How many times have we talked about this? I think it's interest rates and inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to we have like incredibly low interest rate. I mean, you're still getting underneath the fours, and then you have the inventory that every year the inventory goes up in the beginning of the year. It just didn't do that this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's those two factors, supply and demand.
Yeah. I think from when you say inventory, what we're really talking about is how many people are coming to live in San Diego permanently.
Sure.
Every year versus how many people are leaving. The population's growing, about 10,000 people a year.
It shows it even in the numbers, and I don't want to get too statistical, but in January we listed 2,500 homes in San Diego countywide, and we sold 3,100 new pendings in January. So
how's that possible?
We ate into the inventory that we already had.
Yeah.
So does the inventory have an effect on the interest rates?
No.
Or vice versa?
That's totally macroeconomics. So the interest rate's totally based on the demand for bonds, mortgage bonds, investors buying mortgage bonds. And by the way, you can't just go buy mortgage bonds. Like, I can't go buy mortgage bonds. You can't go buy mortgage bonds. You have to have some serious cake to buy mortgage bonds. What I mean by that is money. I've looked into it before, wanted to trade mortgage bonds at one point, and you can't do it. You need tens of millions of dollars, and the swings are huge. So it's big boy money that are playing in the mortgage bond market, and they're still buying bonds even though these yields are going down. It's just really interesting.
I don't understand that because the Fed increased rates at that level, but the interest rate when you're buying a home hasn't gone up.
Yeah.
It's not logical.
It doesn't correlate directly necessarily, because you're talking about the overnight lending rate to banks versus the mortgage bond market, right? And there should be a correlation there,
right?
But it's not necessarily directly correlated. Plus, the Fed only raised interest rates 0.25%.
But they want to get it up higher.
Yeah, I think they should. They should if the economy really is put back together. If we're still Humpty Dumpty, and we're still in a million pieces, then yeah, they should keep the rates low. But if we are really put back together and they really believe that, then they should raise interest rates. Because look at what we're getting. I mean, we have to be very aggressive. There's no such thing as a safe investment, which is the reason why all this money has been going into the mortgage bond market from all the big boys with all the cake, right? They're going there because they're like, okay, I'll take 2.5% on this bond. I'll take 3% on this bond,
right,
with the associated risk underlying. Because what else am I going to do?
The challenge, though, is wages haven't gone up,
and
job creation isn't what it needs to be if the economy is truly fixed.
Right. And so that's the perplexing thing about the current state of the market is how do we continue to see this rise in prices and still see this demand? I think it's just about the number of people. The number of people in San Diego continues to increase at a rate at which the builders just simply cannot create enough units for us.
It's true. We have so many people who are ready to buy. Plus, it's still affordable with the interest rate. The interest rate makes the home still affordable.
Even though prices are up. And you've got a great team. Tell me about how your team helps not just your business but your clients.
What we've learned is that we all have specific attributes that make us good at what we do. So what ends up happening is we just really focus on those. I try to tell our team, stay inside your lane, and we'll stay inside of our pod. So what that means is to the consumer is when we're assisting you, we really focus on what our talent is and what we can bring to the transaction so that they can have a better experience. So it's really about what we can create for the client and the experience that we can create.
Yeah.
And it's all about customer service. How can we provide better service?
Right. Well, what I really like is, and what makes me feel very comfortable and confident in recommending Billy, as we did recently to someone from the show who's going to buy a home.
Thank you.
Of course. I truly believe that you're the right guy to talk to. Because in a market like this, if you're a buyer, and let's talk about the buyers for a second. Because if you are a buyer in today's market, you may need your agent to do some dirty work for you.
Yep.
You may need them to go knock on doors. You say, hey, I want to be in this neighborhood. I want this type of home. You may need the type of agent who's going to go knock on the neighbor's doors and say, hey, are you interested in selling your home? I have someone who wants to buy, or pick up the phone and call those people. And I know that you're willing to do that.
We actually have a client right now that we're doing that exact thing. They missed out on one of the units in the complex, and it's very easy. We're attaching the pre-approval letter to a letter, letting people know, and we're dropping that inside the neighborhood. We're getting callbacks.
Yeah.
And so I mean, we do go above and beyond, and that is something that, because we have the team, we're able to do. Whereas if you're a solo agent, you don't have time to be doing that plus life, where we have manpower, we have boots on the ground, basically.
Yeah, you got horsepower.
We got horsepower.
Serious horsepower with the team SoCal Lifestyle. So as a buyer in this market, that's obviously important.
Sure.
What are some of the other things that buyers need to know in order to be successful in this market right now?
You know what, I mean, obviously contact us, or contact somebody who's a professional. You know, in this market, because there's, I mean, such lack of inventory, and the inventory that's not being bought is going, I mean, at lightning speed. We're listing a property and it's gone by the end of the weekend. You need to be working with someone who's on top of their game, so that you're knowing about the properties when they come on the market, if not even before.
Is that why it's good sometimes to work with a listing agent like yourself, because you're going to list a lot of properties?
Sure.
So if I'm a buyer and you know what my needs are, and then you get one that you're going to list, that's going to help me out, right?
It's going to help you out, but you're limiting yourself to only the inventory that I create. Whereas if you're working with a buyer's agent, you're going to be opening it up to all of it. So it's a lot more effective and efficient to be working with somebody who's really focusing on your search.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Especially because now, what's really difficult in the people that I've been talking to lately is they actually do want to sell. It makes sense for them to change locations,
right,
or to change property types or styles. And they're ecstatic about the fact that they can get so much money for their house.
Yes.
But then looking at what houses are available,
sure,
few and far between, and how high the prices are, it's hard to make that transition. So how do you, in a market like this, how do you coach someone who's in that situation where they're super happy about the sell side, but the buy side looks like it's going to be a challenge?
We're going to look at the pendings when I talk to that seller. The pendings are really what they need to be looking at, because it shows the type of properties that are coming on the market, but they go off as fast as they come on. So the reality is if they're looking on Zillow or Truly or Redfin or whatever they're looking on, they're looking at all the old inventory that's not selling, that they don't like, nor does anybody else. What's selling is the inventory that's coming on and going under contract. That's that we listed 2,500 homes and we sold 3,100. We ate into that existing inventory, but that 3,100 was the new inventory. It was the new stuff that came on. So we're going to look at that pendings, show them what's available.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Does it make sense? I mean, I know at one point a lot of properties were falling out of escrow. Mm-hmm. Does it make sense as a buyer to keep an eye on some of those pendings and maybe even submit backup offers in this market?
Absolutely. I mean, there's still, a percentage of homes that are falling out. You definitely want to make sure that if you missed out on it, don't give up hope. That buyer may not qualify, they may not perform, who knows what the situation is.
It could be a PITA. You know what that means, Rebecca?
I don't.
Pain in the ass.
Okay.
Yeah, they could be a PITA, right? And in a market like this, sellers don't have to deal with PITAs.
We're talking about some pocket here? No.
Because it happens all the time where somebody's in escrow,
right,
and the buyer has certain contingencies and they have certain performances they have to make, and a lot of times, especially if they don't have very good representation, they might start asking for extra stuff or asking for extra time or not performing or getting past contingency periods and then asking for repairs. If they're a PITA, then being the backup buyer, and if you're there every day saying, hey, did they fall out yet? We're here, we're ready to go, we're ready to buy this house. That might be like one of the little hidden opportunities in this marketplace, if deals are still falling out. I know they were a lot, last year especially.
Right.
I haven't heard that much this year though.
It happens. It happens. Most buyers, when they do pull the trigger, the agent does keep the deal together, but at the same time, you're right. Don't give up hope. If it's the house for you, keep watching it. Obviously, you want to be looking at other homes and find if you can find another one in the similar style or whatever met your lifestyle. You want to make sure that you're going after those houses as well. But they do fall out.
Yeah.
Homes, and they're good opportunities.
No question about it.
Yep.
Billy Colestock, anything else we should know about the San Diego real estate market right now? Are we the next San Francisco?
Yes. No, I love that we have the Chargers are staying. Let's just say that.
Certainly doesn't hurt.
No. Plus all the development that's going on downtown, I do think that we are an up and coming market.
I do too. Totally agree. Billy Colestock, thank you so much for your time. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
your expertise.